Hello there.
This is where the fun begins.
Hey there guys, Unofficial Star Wars here. Hope you're all doing well, and in this video we have some insanely interesting and crazy news as Disney reportedly has prevented Kathleen Kennedy from announcing any new Star Wars projects. We're gonna go ahead, we're gonna hop right on into this. We're gonna be taking a read from the Direct's article. I'm gonna have their full article linked down in the description down below. Of course, we're gonna talk about everything that we have going on here with new future announcements for Star Wars, for one thing, regarding both movies and games and TV shows, and like what kind of creative control Kathleen Kennedy has over that at this point in time now, and go from there. Because it is no secret that recently, well, more or less in the last couple of years at this point in time, that Kathleen Kennedy has announced a handful of different Star Wars projects, whether it's games, movies, or shows. However, not many of them have really gone into that much more development, and can simply even be seen that she is trying to copy, to an extent, of what Kevin Feige has been doing with Marvel. If you are a Marvel fan, I'll have my Marvel channel linked down in the description down below there as well. Now let's go ahead, we're gonna hop right on into this article. It's no secret that the lack of Star Wars news to come from either Celebration or the D23 Expo has been a major disappointment. The franchise's television future on Disney Plus is relatively clear for the next few years, though the theatrical waters remains quite murky. Any anticipation for film announcements has been met with Lucasfilm's trademark secrecy. And I have to go ahead and step away from this already. I highly disagree with what the article contains here on its reports, as saying that Star Wars Celebration and the D23 Expo event were very big disappointments. I don't think so whatsoever. There were so many cool different news that had been announced at these two events here in the span of only a couple of months being apart, with Star Wars Celebration in May and then the D23 Expo being only recently. I think it was in August. Now, it is not that disappointing at all. That's for one thing. When it comes to just like in general Star Wars announcements, that's kind of like my take on it. However, for when it comes to movie announcements, that's where it gets disappointing. I think that the article is kind of like just kind of broadly throwing it out there. Anyway, getting back to what the article has to say here, such a tight-lipped approach at Star Wars Celebration was particularly perplexing, given the nature of the event and the lack of positive motion picture developments in recent years. Much of the studio's main presentation was spent discussing the Willow series and Indiana Jones 5, a bonus for fans of those properties, but an irritation for people in Jedi cosplay who paid top dollar to even attend there. And I would have to agree with that, although to be honest, at the same time, I didn't really pay that much attention to it. If it was about Willow or Indiana Jones, I can't really recall all that much anymore. While a more general presentation at D23 is acceptable and unsurprising, the Star Wars segment of Lucasfilm's time on stage only provided updates for shows that could have been done in tweets, simply. The roof was far from blown off the building, and the Star Wars faithful expected nothing less. As head of the company, Kathleen Kennedy naturally draws the most ear for those lackluster episodes, but it may not entirely be her fault completely. That being said, the article states that new Star Wars announcements had been reportedly prevented by Disney. Industry insider Matthew Bellani of Puck reported that Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy was quote-unquote advised by Disney to stop announcing projects and creative partners, ending the quote there. The reasoning for the blockage comes down to quote-unquote media management, an effort to prevent fans and press from further tackling Lucasfilm following the cancellation of a slew of projects in recent years. The Rogue Squadron announcement video by Patty Jenkins and exciting press releases for Rian Johnson and D.B. Weiss and David Benefo's respective trilogies are examples of Star Wars hype falling flat, an issue Disney is attempting to, well, avoid. That all being said, the article asks the question of who's to blame for the Star Wars news drought, and I have to disagree with that statement entirely. There's no Star Wars news drought whatsoever. Have you seen my channel, and have you seen their website's filled with Star Wars news? So that's kind of like not true whatsoever, except for the fact of when it comes to maybe like Star Wars movies, But even then, it has been kind of like pretty consistent, to be completely honest, in the last couple of weeks here when it comes to different various Star Wars movie news there. Although none of them are very, exciting or hopeful, many of them are quite disappointing, except for the recent video that we had here on the channel talking about Rian Johnson and his trilogy. Anyway, so going back to what the article has to say here, Lucasfilm has a good thing going from 2015 to around 2017, at least as far as marketing and brand awareness goes. The Force Awakens, Rogue One, and The Last Jedi, though each received in dramatically different ways by fans and casual audiences alike, were shown off during every commercial break, across countless toy aisles, and even on pieces of fruit. What was coming next was hardly a concern. That all abruptly changed with the approach to Solo, and things haven't been the same since. Without the extended build-ups to new releases, Star Wars projects come and go with the wind, leaving fans asking for more before one thing has even finished. And to this point, Lucasfilm has failed to meet those calls. Star Wars is somehow in a Portugal drought where there's arguably never been more content each year than now. What's often presumed as extreme sagginess on Lucasfilm's part is evidently the result of the company following a directive from Disney. Both companies are really many things, but they aren't completely clueless to fans' perceptions. Between the response to the sequel trilogy and the uproar over endless cancellations and delays, Star Wars fans have given the suits enough hell that can't go unnoticed, says the article. After The Rise of Skywalker, Kathleen Kennedy shared that Lucasfilm would take a 3-year hiatus to get their theatrical ducks in a row. Had things gone according to plan, Rogue Squadron would be landing in theaters next year in December. In fact, had COVID never actually happened, the next film was originally planned to release in 2 months' time this year, that being Rogue Squadron. And from some of the latest reports that we've talked here on the channel and have covered, and from other circulating sources here as well, Rogue Squadron simply isn't happening. Certainly not next year or this year, of course, and most likely even at that, simply never. The same can be said for an abundance of other Star Wars projects, unfortunately, some of which were evidently turned into Disney Plus shows, like Obi-Wan Kenobi, had originally been planned as a movie at first and to be, spiraling off into a Star Wars trilogy from there. If things don't blow up, the next film now should be Damon Lindelof's project, reportedly to be directed by Shiramin Obaid Chinere. My very many apologies if I had mispronounced that name. The nature of the movie is unknown. Everything about it has been shared by the trades, not formally by Lucasfilm. Add it all into the list of movies fans would love to hear about at Star Wars Celebration or D23, but apparently can't be publicly discussed. Now, this is something that I haven't actually talked about here on the channel, this new Star Wars project, so I'll be talking about this probably in our next video, so hit the subscribe button and that notification bell to be notified for that video for when that comes out. The article says that it's a smart move on Disney's end from a PR standpoint. Star Wars movies have been a revolving door since the company acquired Lucasfilm back in 2012, even when new films were being released, but it fails to address the larger problem: why these pictures failed to get off the ground to begin with. Disney and Lucasfilm going silent on Star Wars films may avoid an upheaval in the short term, but a continued lack of progress will prove fans to be the less forgiving than Darth Vader himself. So from there, that is where the article actually concludes, and as I had mentioned, I have this full article linked down in the description down below for you guys there to check out as well. So as we had also discussed in this video, that it's simply being reported from outside sources that, Disney has reportedly told Kathleen Kennedy, like, hey, stop announcing stuff until we can actually, do something with it. This is something that we've seen on both occasions, on both forefronts, agreeing with it and disagreeing with it. I'm agreeing with it, in the fact that, yes, Bad Batch Season 2 was said to be coming out this fall. We should have it, right now, or at least within the next month, but yet nothing's been said about it, and there's no signs of that either at this point in time. I mean, they'd have to start marketing, right now if it were to be coming out in this year in fall, November, because, fall's still November is still fall, rather, and they could still make it work. However, it's been pushed back to January 4th of 2023 next year, so a little over 2 months we have here to wait and to go for it. Unfortunately, nothing was ever, said or addressed officially by Lucasfilm or Disney themselves, which just doesn't look good from them, at all. It's fine to delay something, but at least acknowledge it and don't leave it up to the rumor rumors and speculations. Give us something official on it, rather. I also have to agree with this whole ideal that she is getting better with announcing stuff. For example, Star Wars Skeleton Crew had already been in the works and had recently just complete filming at the same time as well, just about, as it had been announced at Star Wars Celebration this year. And this has been a project that's been in the development here for the last over a year at this point in time. Thing can go for Jedi Fallen Order, the sequel, Jedi Survivor. So of course we've seen this happen more recently with, you know, the Bad Batch Season 2, but we've also seen it happen recently in a good sense, you know, kind of waiting for this stuff to actually follow through and get off the ground and just about get finished with Star Wars Skeleton Crew. And same thing for, you know, Mando Season 3. And I mean, Season 3 of Mando was kind of like a given type of thing, but same thing can be, you know, applied for Jedi Fallen Order to the Jedi Survivor, well, sequel there. This article really talks, you know, generally and mainly at the points of Star Wars movies as they're semi-announced, or at least on the rumored list, because not all of these had been well officially confirmed, such as those other trilogies or the new Star Wars film project that I'm going to be talking about in a separate future video here on the channel in just a couple of days, very, very soon. So as I had also mentioned, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to be notified for when that video does come out. However, I will have to say, when it comes to these quote-unquote rumored / you know, leaked Star Wars projects and trilogies that aren't ever, you know, officially announced or confirmed from Lucasfilm, you can't really hold it against them because it's not officially coming from them. Anyway, of course, I want to know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. I'd absolutely love to hear what you guys all think here about this overall situation here, about, you know, Star Wars announcements in general kind of slowing down here with overall announcements here with the movies, at least in those regards. I think that shows are going to actually remain that same pace, and that much rather they actually might pick up with that overall pace, essentially, with especially rather seeing that they are being consistent and staying with that overall schedule, sticking with their word type of thing, as we've seen with Skeleton Crew and Fallen Order, the sequel. The Acolyte is another one that can fall underneath that category. Same thing for the 3rd season of The Mandalorian and the Ahsoka Tano show there as well. But I want to know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below, so go comment down below. Of course, this has been Unofficial Star Wars. Thanks so much for watching today's video. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a great one, guys. May the Force be with you as always. Peace out.